Today I feel compelled to talk about the law of attraction. And you might be inclined to think that you can make yourself more attractive. And we've got this idea that we can attract things into our lives. In order to do this, we have to get better at it. So to understand the implications of the law of attraction, we must understand its counterpart, the law of repulsion. So how do we play keep away with ourselves? It's a funny thing, if you think about it. So stick around. So there's an industry called the law of attraction. And the basic idea is you want to get yourself gussied up so you can bring things into your life. And so you have someone called the law of attraction coach who will help you be yourself. And if you think you know what makes you attractive, then you will engage in something called the vain attempt. You will work on yourself and get into the lunacy of the self-improvement industry. And you have to question, how would you know? So, we'll start with physical appearance. We're going to start with the people who Botox their lips to make them more voluptuous. That'll make them more attractive, won't it? And let's stretch our skin across our face and lift it up towards our ears. That'll make us more attractive. Let's manicure our eyebrows and wear toupees, cover up our uneven skin, smooth out our wrinkles. And so every vain attempt to make yourself more attractive results in the inverse result. You're hideous. You look like Joan Rivers. You look overly plucked, awkward, and overly manicured. It's a bit like a topiary, taking a beautiful tree and turning it into a topiary. Oh, isn't that beautiful? It's like taking all the stars in the sky and arranging them in a grid and improving them. Isn't that pretty? Rather than, I love you just the way you are. So the industry of the law of attraction might lead you to the belief that you can become more attractive. Put on more perfume, put on some romantic music, that sort of thing. And that's what's called an exercise in futility. Another way to see this is to be in a photograph and the photographer says, "Oh, just look natural." And then the subject on the stage starts wondering, Well, should I put my hands, what should I do with my hands? And then the whole thing becomes awkward. Is this a natural pose? No. Just look natural. And so one of the actors on the stage or one of the people in the photograph will say, what is that? What is it? How? I'm concerned. Maybe I'm unnatural. So now you have something called contrived. You have something inauthentic. You have something noticeably awkward. So is a law of attraction coach a manifestation teacher simply teaching you to be yourself? So my question is, where did you learn to not be yourself? Where did you learn to be such a fraud? And why would we need to be coached on how to be natural? Aren't we natural? Aren't we okay just the way we are? So if you knew what made you attractive, you'd do nothing at all. You'd stand there like the rosebud. And you would be sweet and fragrant, and the bees would swarm all around you. If you were truly understood what made you attractive, you wouldn't need to do anything. Everything would just come to you. There'd be no way to improve your attractiveness. Because it seems to me that every time you futz with yourself, you seem to bring upon yourself the opposite effect. And this is also true of your circumstances. If you swim into the water and you try to swim towards your goals, and your goals are floating in the water too, as you chase them, they swim away from you. And you're trying to futz around with your finances and trying to futz around with your circumstances and fool around and meddle and fix. You repulse. In the same way as you fool around and fix and futz with yourself, you repulse. So, how do you make yourself become more attractive? Well, the answer to that question is to leave yourself alone. Stop bothering yourself. Sit on your hands. Leave well enough alone. Let nature do her work. Well, you've already been that way. We're talking about the moments when you're laughing and you can't help it. We're talking about the state, occupying the state where you just can't help it. Like my dog, she's got a personality. And she's a goofball. She runs into walls. She just is goofy. And if she knew she was goofy like that, she'd start becoming self-conscious. Well, she'd worry about it, stew about it, and she would not be as endearing because she'd try to cover up the very things that makes her attractive and sweet and funny. Do you need coaching on how to be natural? Apparently people do. Because again, it's you don't know what makes you attractive. And in your attempt, in the vain attempt, what you do is you strip out the very characteristics that people love about you. We're going to call that charm. We're going to call that charisma. We're going to call that nonchalant. So then the ego, which is this part of you that thinks it can prove itself, it's going to say, okay, that sounds great. How do I be nonchalant? Nonchalant is a French word which means not concerned. So you're going to be concerned about how to be not concerned. Just don't try so hard, is what the manifestation coach tells you. The law of attraction coach is just trying too hard. Okay, let's try that again. This time, don't try so hard. So now you're trying not to try. This is what's called insidious. It's a vicious circle, otherwise known in the body as the autoimmune kind of thing. It's the body not recognizing the body and attacking it. It's your mind not recognizing itself and attacking itself. It's one side of the brain condemning the other. As Eckhart Tolle says, this is the vicious circle that so many of us are on. How do I try not to try? And Scripture is full of this shit. Do not be afraid. Okay, now I'm afraid of how to be not afraid. You see that? The word afraid is in that negative directive. That negative directive. Do not be afraid. I'm afraid now. It's like, do not think of a green bear. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. Troubled heart, I hear those words. Fear not, says the angel Gabriel. Fear, there it is. The question then is, as somebody who is working to help someone diminish their fear, which is what spiritual direction is. It is a abandonment of fear. How does one do this without scaring or implying that something is wrong? To me, it's about paying attention to trying, even in trying not to try, and being concerned in your effort to be nonchalant or non-concerned. It's in these double binds that you realize how insidious this is. The law of attraction, if you think about this, I've heard Lewis Howes say this, and bless his heart, it's a good sentiment, but how do we become better at the law of attraction? If you translate that sentence, how do I become better at being myself? Can you become better at being yourself? I don't know, because I can't pick myself up by my own bootstraps. Any effort that you put into becoming more attractive is the vain attempt. because you don't know. And in that vain attempt, we do everything to strip out vulnerability, to strip out susceptibility, to direct spontaneity, to control whimsy, to do things like cry on the spot, convincingly, laugh at a scheduled time, engage in wild, mind-blowing sex at 4 o'clock on a Friday. These things come up at inconvenient times. How am I supposed to tell you how to be natural? Well, this is the thing that's happening, is that my job is, as a spiritual teacher, or whatever you want to call it, I consider myself a midwife. Meaning that if you're watching videos like this, something is already opened in you. And I am coaxing it along. I am helping you shake your inhibitions, which is not something you can choose to do. This, just like anything, is a spontaneous happening. And you cannot consciously choose to make yourself more attractive. And people who think they're doing that are engaging in the law of repulsion. They're playing keep away with themselves, trying to outsmart themselves, trying to pin down what makes them charismatic, attractive, appealing, and endearing to people who love them. This is about the business of getting out of the heads, the hearts, and the eyes of people watching you, talking about you. This is about trying to control the subject. What people are saying about you, what you're saying about yourself, how you're condemning and judging yourself, and how you're trying to improve yourself. All that vain attempt is part of the law of repulsion. Until you start leaving yourself alone, leaving your circumstances alone. And the more that you put your mind on something that doesn't seem to be working, it's like feeding a cancer. Cancer is sort of an autoimmune problem, like Crohn's disease and that sort of stuff, that is fed by stress. How do we stop it? I don't think we can consciously choose to stop it. Fear dissolves in you. Inhibition dissolves in you. Naturalness exudes from you. It's because you have chosen to not meddle in your own affairs or try to improve or make yourself more attractive. You won't have any more questions about it anymore. If something is natural or contrived, you'll be able to recognize how you may be trying to put on a show. So, you can't consciously choose to make yourself more appealing. The more you leave yourself alone, the more you allow yourself to be, the more natural you feel. Like, then you'll see how easy it is when you feel that sense of ease every moment, even when a circumstance is falling apart. That won't seem to bother you. That's the beauty of it. Your circumstances are some kind of byproduct of yourself. And so, in the Course in Miracles, we learn, let healing be, and circumstances will heal if you leave them be. You don't put your mind on your problems. You want to actually, if you were to be directed in a play to be natural, you would want to, it's a kind of disappearing act. So this is about character development that happens on its own. And if you think about it in the stage, if you think about a sitcom, if you look at the pilot episode, the characters don't know who they are. I love those old episodes of Seinfeld. They didn't know those characters yet. But as the show progressed, those people, Jason Alexander and Jerry Seinfeld and those sorts, they really portrayed those characters very naturally. They became Elaine and Kramer and George, you see. They were convinced. They weren't awkward. They played the character more convincingly. So, this is about playing your part more convincingly, I guess. And to do that, you would not be so aware of the physical attributes, the voice you have, the way you deliver your speech, the way you hold your body, the whole bit. And so you embody the state of the uninhibited state. And if two people can get together in that uninhibited state, that's where mind-blowing sex and communication, that's where you really, really find euphoric states of community with people who have stopped being so obsessive and acutely aware of the self as a separate entity, and started putting their focus on others and in nature and things outside of themselves. So this is, if you were to be coached in the way I would approach this, I would try to take your mind off of me, you see? Whatever that means to you. You'd have to kind of say, well, people are looking at me, they're watching me, they're listening to me, they're talking about me. It's to get your mind off of that, being watched, being scrutinized, being judged, being ridiculed, being punished. Obsessing about results and what it looks like and what it appears to be. The more you do that, the more repulsive you are to the very things you desire to bring into your life. So this is about doing less. And to getting into the nature and turning yourself over to that. And not wondering, what should I do with my hands? And does this look natural? Does this feel, that's the idea. To catch yourself being yourself, laughing, cutting up, playing, losing yourself in some activity, right? Taking your mind off of it. Because putting your mind on it makes it fester. So, if you and I were to have a one-on-one, those of you who watch me or whatever, that's the first thing we would do. We would not talk about your problems. We'd talk about you, the inner realm, the inner landscape. What are you? Who are you? That's hard to put into words, but if you can learn to express that and to embody that state, you would understand that once you do that, the words flow easily, the directions as to what to do come from you easily, and a lot of times it's to do nothing, but to stand there like the lily on the side of the mountain and radiate, and what you need and what you want comes to you gently. The bees swarm around you, the prosperity swarms around you when you are at your radiance, just peaceful, loving, kind, forgiving, unaware of yourself, in that state where you can't help it, right? And you can't purposely get into that vulnerable state where you're unaware of yourself from the outside looking in. Because so many of us are uncomfortable in our own bodies. And so it's about embodiment. If you can kind of know what that word means, it's embodying comfort, wealth, beauty, peace. Somehow embodying those states of energetic vibration. Make charisma, charm, make you enchanting. But I can't make you become enchanting, because you don't know what makes you enchanting. What makes a person enchanting is self-effacing. Unaware of the individual. Lost and allowing spontaneity to bubble up through them. You can't direct whimsy. Schedule spontaneity. Or make yourself more attractive. In that effort, you actually repulse. So, I hope that helps. My name is Ryan. I hope you enjoyed these insights. And if you have, please check out my blog, mymorningmotivator.com. Thanks for watching.